This is episode 616, and today we're going to be continuing the broader discussion of peak performance with the formula of stress plus rest equals growth. And when we grow, our performance will increase from normal to high, from high to peak, and back to high performance. So today we're going to be taking a look at stress. Stress is a word that's being used quite often today, and it's being associated with more negative things than positive things. So, stress isn't only harmful. It can serve as a stimulus for growth and adaptation. When we look at stress, often it's because we don't have the tools or the capacity to handle it. And so we don't want to, quote, stress ourselves. But if we look at it from a positive perspective, we can see how just this shift in perception can benefit us greatly. The effects of stress depends almost entirely on the dose. A little bit of stress, such as trying to meet a deadline, um, or a little bit of stress going to the gym and lifting one more pound than you did yesterday. All those are great applications of stress. And the skills come from stress. Because you think about it, if you're a rock climber or a mountaineer, and you're a little bit stressed because you're on a mountain or a ledge that you've never done before, and you get a little bit stressed, and you execute it, well, now you improve that skill. So when we're under stress, it's usually something we haven't done before or in a time frame we haven't done before. And when we completely complete it, then that enhances our toolkit, our skills, and our capabilities. So growth actually comes at the point of resistance, and skills come from struggle. So when we look at change, growth, right? Change means growth, growth means change. It's not the change that's painful, it's the resistance to change. And so when we know we're feeling that resistance, whether it's, whatever, however we want to call the stress, and then we can push through it, lean into it, whatever jargon we want to learn, when we come out the other side, we will have the skills to handle that stress again. So we have grown emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, depending on the stressor, to handle more of it that comes along. And so just like struggling, to squeeze out that last rep at the gym, that's a beneficial process for physical growth, right? If we just do the same, there is no maintenance in the gym. When you go there and you lift a little bit more the next time, a little bit more than the next time, you will achieve that physical growth. The same way is also a great prescription for growth of mental strength and emotional strength and spiritual strength. Here's a couple of stress performance practices. Stress stimulates growth. Again, stress plus rest equals growth. And we'll talk about the rest part of it here in a few podcasts. But right now, we want to focus on stress. So we don't want to avoid stress, we want to embrace it. And growth comes at that point of resistance. You could call it resistance, it could be frustration. It's when we just want to stop, and yet when we push through it, we have that growth. And that growth is accompanied with new skills and new adaptations to handle that exact same stress the next time. Developing new capabilities require effort, and skills come from struggle. So as we struggle, get frustrated, get annoyed when we're trying to do something, when we stick with it and push through it to completion, that enhances our capabilities, whether they are new ones or existing ones that were weaker, if you will. But all of it comes from struggle. So if you're struggling with things, if you're frustrated with things, that is actually a really good sign that you're at the edge of your complacent zone, your comfort zone. And when you push through that, you will have grown, you will have developed or enhanced your current skills and capabilities. When you struggle, true development is under construction. and new neural connections are made and strengthened. If we just keep doing the same things over and over again, we really don't have to think. So the neural connections that we have just stay there. And they get reinforced, but they don't create new ones. And so when we want to look at growth and personal and professional growth and development, when we struggle, we have to use our brain, regardless of what it is. We use our brain, and that creates new neural connections, which strengthens our brain power, our mental strength, and all of the other associated strengths that go along with our brain. So this is a great practice to embrace stress. And in case we don't succeed, we want to fail productively, right? There's no failure, there's only feedback, and only seek out support after you've allowed yourself to struggle. That is, if you're struggling with something, if you are asked to do a problem, if you're asked to do a presentation, if you're asked to do something, instead of saying, I can't do it, can you help me? Before you ask for help, try it. Do it. Yeah, I know Yoda says there is try or try not, but that's a whole different conversation. But for right now, you want to give it. You want to struggle. You want to get frustrated. This is what you're looking for. And then you push through. If you can't push through, you want to make sure that you have given it enough opportunities to struggle and get frustrated, then ask for help. And that help will just be a little bit, as opposed to asking for help in the beginning when you won't even learn anything. So we want to fail productively. And so, what we're talking about effectively is getting into the zone, getting into the flow state. And so what you're after is that sweet spot, when challenge is in your upper limit or just beyond your current skill set. That's what we want to look for. It could be cooking, it could be lifting, it could be communicating, it could be asking someone out on a date, it could be whatever that is. It could be asking for a raise, it could be giving a presentation, it could be closing a sales deal. But when we're at that upper limit where the adrenaline just starting to flow, our heart's starting to beat a little bit faster, that's the sweet spot. It may not feel like it, but once you see the rewards from it, that's what you're going to seek. And a little doubt and uncertainty is actually a good thing, because it signals that a growth opportunity has emerged. So if you're wondering what to do, if you're not sure of something and you're getting frustrated, you struggle, you're getting stressed, whatever you want to call it, that is actually a good thing, because it's a signal to yourself that says, hey, growth is about to happen. Whether you're feeling chaotic, again, any of these things are signs that when you sit and push through it, growth is going to happen, new skills are going to be developed, new capabilities are going to be developed. So whatever your specialty that you want to focus on, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, relationship, business, we want to continuously push that envelope every single day, almost an adrenaline junkie in a sense, but just short of that. So here's some stress/flow performance practices, right? Think of a skill or a capability that you want to enhance, that you want to grow. Take a look, take an assessment of your current ability to perform this skill or capability, and then actually seek out, create, invent challenges that are just barely exceed your abilities. And one of the best ways to do this is hire a coach, because a coach, especially me, will help you create those tasks, those agendas, those goals that are outside, and then hold you accountable for making sure you get that accomplished. And it's such a great thing. I've done this with so many clients. They go, I can't do it. Well, yeah, you can. How about this? And we negotiate a little bit. I always go for an extreme, because I know they're going to go under, and we negotiate just above their comfort level, just outside of it, and they come back. They're so excited, because now, whenever that event happens, it's in their skill set. And then we push it again and again and again. So if you feel in full control, whether that's, you're giving a sales presentation, or you're skiing or rock climbing, if you feel in full control, make the next challenge just a bit harder. And you know what that is intrinsically. If not, get with a coach, get with me, and we can determine what that looks like. If, however, you're feeling anxious and so aroused that you're kind of shaking that you couldn't and you can't focus, and your mind is going 1,000 miles an hour, that's where you may want to dial things back. And there's a great inverted U energy map that athletes use. Is on one side you're bored, the other side you're too anxious to perform. So we're looking for that sweet spot, that peak right at that U, is to where it's just above your skill set, but you're not that comfortable, but you're not that anxious, and we look to get into that spot. So keep in mind, right? We explored some of the benefits of stress, and I use that word because it's used so much, and so we want to change our perception of it. We want to say that stress is good, and we'll talk about later when accompanied with appropriate rest. But if we look at stress as being bad all the time, we're going to run away for it. We're not going to be able to grow, and when we're faced with a challenge, we're not going to be able to handle it. We won't have the tools. We won't have the history, the past successes to go, I handled this in the past, so I can handle something bigger in the future. Examined we examined why skills come from struggle, because when you struggle and push through it, you have to use a different skill set. You have to use a different thinking. You have to do a different process. And we learned that some types of stress activities promote growth and capacity, especially it's within that realm of what you're doing: lifting, rock climbing, mountaineering, sales, presentations, talks, whatever that is. Stress is not all bad. Yes, there are some stressors that we can basically, anxiety is worrying about something that might not happen. Those type of things aren't that good. But when we're faced with something real in front of us, not all those stresses are bad. And when utilized correctly, stress leads to mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual strength. If you'd like to see the show notes on this podcast, you can go over to warriormindcoach.com for more information. While you're over there, you can listen to other podcasts, read some blog posts, find out more about me and my coaching, and you can also request an introductory consultation, breakthrough session, if you will. While you're on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.